And we're live on YouTube and TikTok in.
All right.
All right, we're live. Welcome to day 5. Can you believe it? What a week.
What a week. Yes.
Chi Coaching Week.
Chi Coaching Week. So my name is Chris Shelton once again.
And I'm Parisa Shelton.
And we're here with Shelton Qigong. We have an amazing online teacher training program that's 13 weeks, which is level 1. The launch date is actually Monday, January 23rd.
Yep, and the last day to sign up is on Sunday, the 22nd.
And this is the most comprehensive Qigong teacher training program that you're going to find, because what I'm teaching you is not just for because it feels good, it's because we want you to understand what the practices are doing medicinally for your body according to classical Chinese medicine. So every practice that we teach is meant to help you refine and transform yourself.
And do something medicinally inside the body.
Yeah, and help reduce inflammation and emotional blockages, and really live the ultimate life that you deserve to live.
So today's format is a question and answer. So I have some pre-written questions that some of our friends, clients, family members have submitted. But also, if you feel so inclined, drop into the chat on TikTok or on YouTube, because we'll be checking those as well. So whatever questions you have, drop those in and we will do our best to address your questions in the next hour. Let us know you're here and where you're watching from as well.
Cool. All right, what do you got for me?
Okay, so the very first question is from one of our Chi Clubbers. Okay, from Mr. Tim and Labi. We're sending our healing hearts to you. You have faced suffering all year with courage and grace. Question 1. Are you content and happy with yourself?
Oh, question 1. Content and happy. I would say that I'm happy, content with where I'm at. No, because there's still a lot of work to be done. I have a certain goal in mind. You know, we transitioned from the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area, down here to Los Angeles. And for the main mission is to really help to spread Qigong, because I realized that the next platform for me is television. And so, once all these projects that we have going get finished, the film gets picked up, because they did a documentary short that's coming out to hit the film festivals this year called A Healer's Journey. And it's on my journey as a healer, what I came from and how I was able to transform that, and how Qigong is actually the practice that allowed me for that transformation. So as far as content with where I'm at, no, because there's still work. I still have work to be done. There's still work I need to finish.
But you do feel happy. I
am happy though. Yeah. I mean, I have a blessed life. It's 10 o'clock. It's a little bit after 10 o'clock here on the West Coast. And, I get to share with some amazing people that are tuning in right now. I mean, what a better life. I mean, you can't even make this stuff up. You have to actually pinch yourself sometimes. Is this really real? The fact that I get to be of service, seeing patients in clinic, I get to be of service as a speaker on the subjects of disease prevention and mental emotional wellness, and empower people with these tools on how to transform your life. So it's really it's a blessing.
I would say I definitely feel happy, and I also feel fulfilled.
Fulfilled, okay.
But yeah, I agree. There's more work to be done. It's just constant, just part of being in this earth plane.
Yeah, and I talk about, we love it actually down here in Los Angeles, but I've talked about it with Parisa, LA is only going to be a certain time frame.
We'll see.
Yeah, Los Angeles. Once the work is done here, then we will move on to somewhere else, and that's
someplace tropical.
Yeah, someplace tropical. Yeah. Not so busy, but yeah.
Okay, well, that actually leads into the next question, which you pretty much have answered. Have you achieved enough? And the answer is pretty much no.
It's not so much no. I mean, I'm grateful that.
Well, not enough. Yeah.
There's just, I have a mission, I have a purpose, a life purpose. I didn't know that being a Qigong teacher and healer was going to be my life purpose. Even after I started my clinical practice in 2001, it still took me a few years to really realize oh wow, this is really my life purpose. And so my life purpose, because I have a way of teaching and talking about this stuff that, if I'm able to talk to trauma nurses and doctors on this, then obviously I have a way of talking about it that doesn't seem too mystic, or too woo-woo, or
too airy-fairy.
And so I have a different approach. And what's interesting is that I'm not, even though the Qigong community is growing larger, I'm still not really a part of that community because we just go on our own. We
blaze our own
yeah,
trail.
Parisa and I are just blazing our own trail.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line is of
But
what we're doing.
I like to tap in and see what's going on with the other Qigongers.
Yeah, you do.
Them not so much.
Not so much.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So continuing on the same question, if positive responses are in line, don't you feel that the rest of life should be spent being aware and appreciative of your status?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is that I get to be appreciative of where I'm at right now. Like I said, it's really a blessing. We just opened up a beautiful office here in downtown Burbank. So I am blessed, definitely, that I get to do this. And even if I'm not putting in the 16-hour days like I used to, but even if we put in a long day, whether it's content creation, seeing clients, or a combination thereof, it's not work. It's, to me, when I was a butcher for 21 years, that was work. I mean, that was physical labor in the cold, and it was a grind. And this isn't work. So I'm appreciative of where I'm at this particular moment. I'm appreciative of all the people who have helped bring me here in my new book that's coming out this year on how to fix back pain yourself. In the acknowledgments, I list some of those people, and some people that would, I don't know if they're still around or not, but probably don't even know that they contributed to me being able to launch to be a healer.
Wow. Oh, the art of kindness.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So there will be a time where I get to sit back more. But one of the things I want to address is that during COVID, and my father had a stroke 7 years ago, and I was his primary caregiver. We had a caregiver at his house, but I was the one taking care of his estate. I was his federal fiduciary. And I realized that I was so busy taking care of him, his needs, my kids' needs, the influx of patients that were sick with COVID or depression as a result of being locked down, that I stopped really taking care of myself, kind of. I stopped. I was training. I was training Muay Thai at least 3 to 4 days a week, and then running on those off days. All that came to a halt. And so recently, and especially after my good friend Eric the trainer just passed away here on Thanksgiving Day.
It's been a catalyst.
Yeah, it's been a catalyst. Like, you know what? So now I'm really taking a step back, and we do things for self-help. We do EECP, and if you want to find out more information about that, that's amazing. We do these oxygen baths. They're located in downtown LA. So I do a number of things.
Most importantly,
Qigong.
every day.
Yeah, we practice Qigong every day, and whether it's only 15 minutes or it's a half hour to an hour, there's something always giving back to it.
So what would you say to someone who says, I don't have enough time to practice?
Well, I say, start off 5 or 10 minutes. Like I talked about yesterday, I have the White Pearl meditation and the Center and Balance meditation on Spotify and on iTunes. Even if you download that, I think it's $1.99 on iTunes or something. Even if you download that meditation and you listen to it before going to bed, it still plays in your subconscious mind. So I believe that you still benefit from it. So I believe that, there's still things that we could do. Like I said, start off 5-10 minutes and then go from there.
Well, there's actually a saying that says, for those people who say they don't have time to meditate, you should meditate longer.
That's for sure.
Right? Nothing like a busy person to get something done. He went on to say, our encounter has transformed and crystallized my life experiences. A gift that never stops. Thank you.
Yeah, and so if you're not aware, we have this Chi Club that's every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 8 to 8:30 Pacific Standard Time. It's a half-hour class, and it started during the pandemic. My friend Eric the trainer started that off. He was doing the Sleek Ninja workouts because his gym was shut down, his private gym. And so because he treats, he sees his gym is full of celebrities. You just never know who you're going to work out with. And what was fun about Eric is that number one, he brought on puppets, and he's funny as hell. Eric is so charismatic and funny. But he'd bring on these celebrities. So as you're doing this 1 hour workout with him, he'd bring on different celebrities like Phil Collins from Def Leppard. You just didn't know who Big John McCarthy from the UFC. You just didn't know Mike Kroger from Nickelback. There's so many people that he would bring on while you're doing this workout. Anyways, what he was doing was 7-day challenges, like the 7-day golden pill challenge, where he had to be in bed by 9 p.m. Then he did the 7-day chi challenge, and then from there it really took off. And so after that, then we went ahead and started the Chi Club. And at first we were doing the hosting it for free, just like Eric was hosting his class, because we saw for 3 months because we saw so many the desperate need for mental health. We also saw that a lot of people were losing their jobs, and so we wanted to have a way to give back. And you don't really realize, and this is the thing about being a teacher, a Qigong teacher as well too, you don't really realize the impact that you have on a person's life. And in that situation, we're just doing our thing out of pure sincerity of wanting to help people, give people these tools. So we were hosting the classes for free. And then once we started transitioned over into a membership program, we started getting thank you letters and emails. People are sending us donation checks from around the world, just letting us know how thankful that they are. And so Tim and Labi are actually one of the founding members of that Chi Club.
And we currently have almost 200 members.
Wow.
From all around the world.
All around the world.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
So that's another opportunity to join us.
Yes.
But as far as the teacher training goes, what would you say to someone who says the cost is prohibitive?
Well, what I would say is that, this one life that we know that we have, if you can invest in anything, I would invest in yourself. And what this is it's really an investment into yourself, because healthcare costs are skyrocketing. As we talked about yesterday with the leading causes of death and disease, things that should be reducing in numbers, like heart attacks and heart disease, kidney failure, those numbers are all skyrocketing. So we have to look at, well, why are those numbers skyrocketing? With the advancement of modern medicine, and by the way, I believe in integrated medicine as well too, just like I believe in cats.
This cat this morning is really...
Yeah, I believe in integrated medicine because there's some things that definitely science can do that we can't even touch. But at the same time, on the other hand, there's certain diseases that are not being dealt with in an appropriate fashion, and the medications that are being prescribed are actually killing people. So how can you take control? Because we have to look at our food. How's our food being handled and processed? We have to look at our environment for which we live in. What are our relationships like? What are our relationships like with our kids, our parents, our friends? Is it a codependent relationship? Is it, a needy relationship? Is it a guilt-based relationship? And then also too, how well you're sleeping, and then how are your emotions? How are you processing what's going on in your day-to-day environment? So we have to look at all these things. And one of the things I love about our Qigong teacher training program is that it's simplified. It's 13 weeks. Every Monday you're downloaded 4 videos, handouts, and it's an interactive program to where we have a live forum. We have 3 Zoom chats throughout the 13 weeks, and then we meet in person for a weekend workshop, or you meet on Zoom if you can't join us live. But the great thing about it is that it's really about yourself. Even though it's called a teacher training program, it's really about diving in deeper into yourself. And like I was talking with a client yesterday, and I said, because I have the 30 days of Qigong on YouTube for free, and unless there's a financial investment, some people may not. I'm not saying that this is necessarily this client's thing, but unless there's a financial investment, some people
won't take it seriously.
Won't take it seriously. So really, this is an investment into yourself.
It's an investment in yourself. Oh, and oops, dog barking.
That scared me.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Lulu, we're in a live stream. Here, go somewhere else. Okay. Well, the joys of filming live. Lulu.
Okay. Go on.
Okay, so sorry, that distracted me for a minute. Shh. Actually, that was a good segue to the next question, which comes actually from my cousin in Iran, because she's asking, maybe you've heard about the problems going on there. There's a lot of issues here. My question is, how can I stay positive and keep calm amongst adversity and discord, which is kind of what just happened with the dog barking so loudly. So how do you stay calm and positive amongst adversity?
Well, in her situation, living there in Iran, where there's been so much suppression for all these years, and the people are rising up and speaking up and going to the streets and trying to create this change that they deserve to have, because people deserve to be free. They deserve to be able to express themselves. They deserve to be able to think freely and speak freely. And, in her situation, where there's so much violence as a result of what's going on as well, too. That's where these Qigong practices actually come back into play, because maybe she can't at this particular point in time change that external environment for which she's in right now, but at least with the practices of Qigong, you can actually have a tool in order to be able to help yourself deal with the anxiety, deal with the fear, deal with the stress of being in that situation. So
that's like I mentioned, the way out is in.
Yeah. And in Chinese philosophy, they call it Wu Wei, which is doing but non-doing. And so even if the outside is turbulent, the waves, the top of the waves, let's say an ocean, for example, the top of the water is, rolling violently, and there's waves and such and such. And in the depths, there's stillness, and the ultimate goal then is for you to learn how to achieve the stillness.
To dive deep. Wow,
yeah.
that's pretty cool.
So stillness amongst the chaos. And it's not sticking your head in the sand and pretend like it's not going on, but having the tools to handle what you're feeling as you're going through whatever the circumstance is, and maintain a sense of openness and centeredness. It's a good practice for everybody to have.
It's definitely a practice, and it actually kind of goes back to the first question from Tim, who was asking about, are you happy? Because happiness is actually an internal game. It's not necessarily based on life experience or circumstance.
Or what you have.
Right? So they find like even people who have very little material things have a super high happiness score. Well, why is that?
Yeah.
The way out is in.
The way out is in.
Oh, and by the way, we're answering questions live. So if you have a question, drop in the chat. Let us know you're watching and where you're from. Give us a like. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, especially if you have any questions about this teacher training program that we're launching here. Yeah, that'd be great to hear from you.
We want to know. Okay, so the next question is, this is from one of our clients from Santa Clara County. I love your quote, how we met story, which I think you told in an interview. Yes, with more and more visibility, those type of vignettes seem to connect with folks. They do for me. Reading faces done by Chris is so much fun. Maybe if you can do it in a series. How we met. Read your face so that they reconfirm the story of why you're so compatible. And if not, what you do to overcome those obstacles. Besides, you can always shake it off.
So is the question really how we're compatible and how I use face reading to check our compatibility?
When we first met and to this day?
Yeah.
What traits on our face show compatibility?
Well, for me, first and foremost, because I'm a very passionate person. I'm a wood type, like we talked about yesterday. And if you're not aware, one of the ways that I diagnose in clinic is reading the person's face. Every line and every feature on your face tells me a story about how you think, tells me your personality, etc. On TikTok and such, I've been doing these little shorts like reading Justin Bieber and
those are on YouTube Shorts as well.
YouTube Shorts as well. And so just giving out little traits that
What's funny is the one for Nancy Pelosi went viral.
That one went viral. That's really bizarre.
People wanted to know.
But anyways, so different features on the face. And so when I first met Parisa, honestly, when we first met, she came in for an interview because she was at a Pilates studio in Los Gatos, California. Her mentor fired her out of fear because Parisa wanted to eventually start her own...
to grow,
wanted to grow and expand and eventually start her own Pilates studio. So suddenly fired her out of fear. And then Parisa had heard about me from a mutual client that we had. And she said, I just started practicing Qigong, and I heard about how you healed, Lori's shoulder, and I want to hear more about it. and about what you do. So I thought, okay, well, possible subtenant, because I had a small classroom space attached to the clinic there, where I taught Qigong and Tai Chi and these other classes like face reading, etc. And anyway, she came in, and
We've been together
ever since. But at the same time, at dinner, because I just got out of a divorce, another bad relationship where I thought this gal was my soulmate, because I knew her from 12 years before. I think they called that a Saturn Returns, because she reappeared 12 years later.
I'm not sure.
So anyways, it was disastrous. And so I was tired of repeating those patterns. And in fact, so what I did was that after I kicked her out, that other gal, I just fought a fight in the heavyweight division, amateur fight, and I lost the fight. I knew what I did wrong, but I was starting to work with Katie Perbelli, who does NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And at first I was going to work on helping me get psychologically ready for my next match.
Okay.
What I ended up doing was diving in deeper as to why, yes, I was drawing in crazy into my life, but what was so crazy about me that I was drawing in crazy? So I dove in deep with that. I dove in deep with that. Practice more Qigong. So I focused on fighting, training, running the business, raising the kids, and cultivating myself. So when we first met that night, that we went out to dinner, and I read her face. And one of the big things for me in reading her face is the calmness of her disposition. That was the biggest one for me, because you could tell on somebody's face if they're angry, if they're controlling. You could tell if they lie a lot. You could tell if they cheat. You could tell all kinds of things. And for me, one of the biggest one was how giving the person was. Because my previous marriage, that gal was cold as ice, just cold. In fact, I would tell her in the relationship, I've never been with somebody where I felt so alone in my entire life.
Wow.
And so, and then she would tell me she'd tell me things like, "Oh, you're never going to find what you're looking for," and I didn't believe that. I didn't believe that.
Glad you didn't believe
Yeah,
that.
I didn't buy into that.
Good, yeah.
And so a lot of
Cold as ice.
times people will stay in dysfunctional relationships.
That's true.
Because it's easier to stay in those dysfunctions as opposed to change and get out. And
Plus, when kids are involved, it's,
yeah, so
so your advice is
my advice is that if counseling and therapy doesn't work for the couple, then and you want more for yourself, then you seek other options. And because again, we don't know how much time we have on this planet. We all should be living the life that we were designed to live.
That's true. Amen.
And so yeah. So anyway, so going back to, so that was one of the first things, that was calmness of disposition, and how generous or giving. There's a few things that I was definitely looking at. Because the face doesn't lie, and whenever we meet somebody, everybody always puts their best foot forward, and when they do that, then that's when eventually, if you see something on their face that doesn't agree with you, eventually it will show us up. Yep.
But in terms of compatibility, when we even just real quick look at the zones of the face, right? The thinking,
Practical area,
practical,
and gut.
And what's funny is Chris has a very short practical, and I have actually a pretty long practical.
Yeah.
So your lack of practicality is made up by my practicalness.
And my ability to trust my gut is also
I think I have a good gut.
Yeah, pretty good,
strong
but the practical part is stronger on you. Yeah.
Yeah. I like things to make sense and add up.
I like to feel things.
That's true, even if it doesn't make sense. Okay, so that was cute. Question. I would love to learn about releasing stored trauma in the body. Would like to learn some techniques to release sadness and anxiety and invite joy. I'm very grateful for you sharing your practice.
Yeah, so my favorite practices that I give for, if you don't have time to really invest in, like half hour or so of Qigong, my favorite practice first is the dry cry, which is the ha sound, because the heart is the emperor, empress of the body. It dictates how much of an emotion will be expressed, how much will be suppressed. And it's a very simple practice, because whatever you're feeling right now, what I want you to do is, or what I recommend doing, is that you imagine a pink cloud filling up into the heart as you inhale, and then as you exhale, you imagine whatever that circumstance is. It can be past trauma or present day trauma, and you make the ha sound. So, and if you're in public, the cool thing about it is that you could do it underneath your breath. So if you're doing the dry cry version, then what I recommend people doing is they lift their chin. Because if you ever gotten sad about something and then you feel like you have a plum seed stuck in your throat, that's the grief being stuck. So if you lift the chin and make the ah, allow for that circumstance to leave like a dark cloud from the throat, it helps to release what's that tension there. And the other thing too is that it gives you an immediate tool to be able to process what it is that you're feeling, and also letting go of those past emotional traumas, right? So, whenever we have suffering, suffering is not meant for you to stay in the suffering. The suffering is for you to wake up, and then we let go of the pain, but at the same time what we do is we hold on to the wisdom that we gained from that traumatic experience. So it's all a learning. It's all a learning.
Wow.
It's like when I was fighting and competing, my fight coach would say, you go out there and you just have fun.
Have fun.
I mean, obviously you want to win, right? But have fun with it. No expectations. And Bruce Lee talks about this too. No expectations on the outcome, right? You go in there and you be present in the moment as to what's going on, but really just have fun with it, right? And so we always learn from whatever our life traumas are, and the key really is to separate the wisdom, what you learned, no matter how painful it was, from the pain. And the ha sound, you take with you anywhere. If you're in public and you're feeling something come up, I remember a few years ago, pre-COVID, I was getting that stuck feeling in my throat, and it seemed like everything in my life was going okay. I couldn't pinpoint cognitively what was bothering me. So I just listened to my body because I had that feeling there. I'm like, well, maybe something's releasing from the past, or maybe I'm just ignoring something that's going on, And so I did that sound underneath my breath several times for several days until that feeling went away.
And it did go away.
And it did go away. And I just want to talk really quickly, though, about how subtle emotions are sometimes. Because a lot of times when a patient comes into clinic and we're doing the assessment, unless they had a car accident or some kind of trauma like that, or ate something that was, food that, or a diet was, not healthy for them. A lot of times, these diseases, they come back, they're emotional trauma. And one of the ways then I will further dive deeper into it is that I'll read the face, I'll look at the tongue, and I do the Q&A, right? And like I tell people, my job is not to force feed you that you still have this past trauma. My job is to present the opportunity
to open it up.
That there's still issues in there that need
in the tissues
that need to be resolved. And so I'm pretty sensitive with myself, with my body. I've been doing this for over 30 years. And I had one of those Garmin watches. It's I don't know if you know what a Garmin watch is. It's like a smart watch. But this watch was so intelligent. I could be in the mountains here hiking and get lost, and this watch would tell me a GPS of where I'm at. It actually would.
A fancy watch.
It was a fancy watch.
Do you still have that watch, by the way?
No, I sold it. But also it'd show up maps if I was in the mountains to help me get out if I was lost. So anyway, this watch is pretty fancy.
And it would take your heart rate.
It'd take my heart rate. It would do all kinds of things.
Pressure?
Yes, it did blood pressure as well too. So anyways, one of the features I didn't know. So what happened was our oldest daughter during COVID got in some trouble. She got arrested for felony assault and battery on 2 police officers.
Okay, maybe TMI.
Well, you know me, I'm like an open book.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
true. A
so
martial arts family. So that's why.
well, she has a wrestling background.
Yeah,
She went to
a martial artist.
She went to college on a wrestling scholarship and stuff, and so so anyway, so she got herself arrested, and so we luckily had the means to bail her out. And the next day, she was crying and stuff. I'm talking like how I'm talking to y'all right now. So to me, I'm not feeling any emotion. I'm just being the supportive father. I mean, we all make stupid mistakes. Picking a fight with a police officer is probably a bigger than, not just a small mistake. But anyways, that's a different subject, different topic. We'll talk about it on a different day. Talk about practicing Qigong. Anyways.
That was like the worst call Sunday morning. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so anyways, so I'm talking to her like how I'm talking to y'all. And all of a sudden, this silly watch starts ringing off irregular heart rhythm. No, it starts buzzing. This alarm, a regular heart rhythm, And so my point is that
It bothered you.
it bothered me what she was going through at a
On a
deeper level than what I was aware of. And I'm pretty aware of my body. And what this watch did was it was a gentle reminder that sometimes these emotions are so subtle, and we think that we're being the strong parent, we're being the supportive spouse, whatever, and actually is bothering us at a deeper level. So that's the point of that story.
I see.
And so the great thing once I saw that was that I was like, oh, okay, well, then I'll go back and do the heart healing sound like what I was talking about to have to release it. Yeah.
Yeah, and now she's doing much better. She's a middle school PE teacher.
Yep, she's doing good now.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question is, I have watched day 1 and 2 of Coaching Week. It's fantastic, and I sent day 1 to a young lady in my Wednesday night Bible study with severe acne. She is searching for God, what God's plan has planned for her life, and contemplating changing jobs. So thank you for this week. I have a question regarding the 5-element questionnaire. When I took it years ago in Chris's book, I was a high earth and metal with fire as secondary. When I took this again recently, I am fire and water secondary. So I'm not sure what this means.
Yeah, so the original questionnaire that I have in my first book, Qigong for Self-Refinement, that was a gift Master Mark Johnson from Santa Rosa. He had actually had put that together. And it's a pretty accurate 5-element questionnaire. And then what happened was that over my years of study, because I've known Master Mark Johnson for a long time, I realized that there's still some questions that could be asked to be more clear on what the typology is. So I spent, 7 years?
We spent a long time
5 years.
revising and revitalizing
because
that.
my first editor was trying to make it short and sexy like me. No, I'm just playing.
That's short and sexy.
I said short and sexy does not work with this questionnaire because it has to be accurate.
You went for accuracy.
I wanted accuracy. Yes, I know that some people don't like to fill out long questionnaires. I get that. But I wanted to give people the right information, right? And so we had to go back and forth. Even from the Infinity program from Dr. Mao, their 5-element questionnaire still wasn't
making the mark.
It wasn't making the mark because certain people were coming back as, let's say, an earth type, and you could definitely tell that they were 100% fire. There's no doubt about it. Anyways, so to answer your question is that your primary typology could change if there's a life-changing circumstance in your life. Number one. There shouldn't be too much of a variance. We normally are a primary typology, but we could be a dual. Like I'm a wood earth type. Right now my deficient element is water. It used to be fire, and now it's water. And so what we want to look at is a deviation from our primary typologies. What is that deviation? Because that's what indicates disease. So the difference between this 5-element questionnaire and an Enneagram on your personality is that we're looking at deviations that can show up as disease later on.
I see.
Not just what our strengths are as a personality.
And it can change over time.
It can change.
With a life-changing circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
Because that question came up a few times.
Yeah, so we don't want the numbers to be even, right? We don't want your primary typology and your deficiency to be even, but we want it within a spread of about 16 points.
Wow. Okay, that's
yeah.
good to
So,
know.
by the way, if you're just joining us today, we've been doing this Qi Coaching Week all week this week, and there's if you go to sheltonqigong.com and download your free 5-element questionnaire, I'd love to hear from you as to what your typology is, and there's some simple feng shui techniques
you can do
to pull you back into your typology, but also too if you're deficient in typology.
And in the Qigong teacher training, we definitely dive deep into the 5 elements.
Yes, and that's an interesting thing because I have the students on week 1, I believe it is, take the 5-element questionnaire to figure out what their typology is. And during the course of the 13 weeks, then we take it again to see if there's a change.
Oh, yes, we do that.
Yes, especially on the deficiency. Has that deficiency improved as a result of practicing Qigong? Because again, this 13-week program that we're launching on Monday is meant for you to dive deeper into yourself. Understand how your organs function, how your emotions affect those internal organs, and then give you the tools to refine that, to help to harness that. And then if you have any inflammatory issues going on, seeing and witnessing the transformation of that as you go through the course.
Whoa, that's so cool. I'm just looking at the TikTok chats, and Rush Staddy, who's also our friend Booby Williams in Ohio, he said, that's brazy.
That's brazy. Hey, brother. Man, I miss you, man. I wish you were still out here in LA.
Okay, and then also we had Dance Forever on. How do you do the heart healing sounds?
So all you do is you can do it from a seated or standing position. You can even do it lying down. You can do it in the car as well too, but what I would recommend is that you don't close your eyes. It's contraindicated for good health.
Keep your eyes open
While
while
driving.
driving.
You know, remember back in the day when McDonald's was being sued because the people were getting burned with
their
coffee was burning them. So they had to put a little thing on the lid that says, caution, hot. I was like, oh my gosh, you're buying hot coffee. Common sense would say, you know that it's hot, to be careful. Anyways, it's very simple. What I want you to do is I want you to focus on, especially on a past trauma, a past pain, a breakup or whatever, loss of a parent or something. But I want you to go ahead and feel and visualize who and what was going on. What was the circumstance? Were there any sounds, any smells? And I want you to imagine a pink cloud filling up into the heart, because the color red or pink benefits the heart. And as you focus on that emotion and you visualize it and feel it, then you exhale. And imagine that leaving like a dark cloud going several feet away from the body and deep into the ground, and keep on doing that. Now you can do it for 5 minutes, you can do it for 10 minutes, and different thoughts may pass through your mind. That's okay. Keep on trying to go through it. Now, if you've had a lot of trauma in your life, don't put all your apples and oranges in one basket. Try to focus on one thing at a time. Now,
I see. Yeah. Focus on one circumstance.
but if you can't, that's okay too. Still doing the sound releases the vibration. So different than going to see a psychologist here is similarity is that we're asking you to relive the circumstance, which is kind of like picking off the scab. But by doing the healing sound and making the connection with the organ and that specific emotion, guess what? That's what releases the vibration from the tissues.
I see.
And this is what creates the healing. Because I know years ago, after I got off of drugs when I was 19 years old, they sent me to see a therapist because I was suicidal at the time. Because I did all those years during the developmental years of growing, I was on drugs from age 12 to 19, right?
Wow.
And so I didn't know how to deal with life sober. And so, as I talked about yesterday, my mom had walked in and I had the rifle underneath my chin where I was going to shoot myself. And anyways, luckily that didn't happen. And I remember
for us.
I remember sometimes, going for these appointments, like they'd pick off the scab, and then I felt worse.
Yeah,
I felt worse.
Like,
and so
there was no tools.
There was no tools. It's one thing to talk about it and then to give insight, but it's another thing now to have a tool. So that heart healing sound is so powerful. There's different healing sounds for different organs and different emotions, like anger and rage and such, and fear. Those are all in my book, as well as you learn them in this 13-week course. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. And if you can't do it audibly, out loud, do it underneath your breath. And the reason why it's a sound of ha is because one of the negative emotions that affects the heart is overexcitation. A lot of people don't know this, but you could actually die of a heart attack from laughing too much.
Okay, that is the way I want to go.
And when I studied in Chinese medicine, it didn't make any sense to me. But if you think about it, if you're having a laughing attack at something, what's the first thing you and everybody does? It goes, right? Why? Because your heart is trying to regain balance. Or if you've lost a pet or a loved one or something, what does a person do a lot? They sigh.
They sigh.
They sigh a lot.
Audible sigh.
Yeah, they'll sigh.
We talked about that being one of the signs of burnout as well.
Yeah, they'll sigh a lot. So and what's happening is the heart is trying to release. So the sound has to be H-A-A-A. So it has to be that specific sound.
And there's different sounds associated with different organs connected with different emotional components as well. Yeah. Okay, so Dance Forever On said, thank you, very interesting. Interested in learning more, thank you. Okay, if you want to learn more, please go to sheltonqigong.com and download your 5-element questionnaire.
Yeah, no, thank you everybody for joining us. This is
okay,
amazing.
just a few more questions here. Here's one that's popping out. Turning 72 in January.
Wow.
Yay. How do I regain strength and energy? How do I lose 20 pounds? And any suggestions for arthritis?
I'm a
So
big fan of breakdancing and doing the worm.
To regain your strength and energy.
No, I play. I kid. Back in the day, I used to do the worm. I used to have my piece of cardboard with me.
Who wants to see Mr. Chris do the
All
worm?
right, I'm going to stick to practicing,
Prove it,
to
prove
teaching
it.
Qigong. So how do you get regained? Well, Qigong, again, is one way to regain that, because what it'll do is that as these internal organs, a lot of people don't realize that these internal organs all have to work together. It's a network. It's like people. People in a company all have to work together in order for the company to thrive. In order for your body to thrive, all these organs have to work together. So if there's an imbalance in one organ, guess what? It creates an imbalance. And these different organs, I understand how they function according to science, but in Chinese medicine that has thousands of years of study on the human organism, these organs have much, much greater functionality. So even if you, at age 72, even if you're somebody who's made peace with your anger, if there's still some residue of that can still affect your liver, which will affect the blood of the liver, and our blood is our qi. This will affect our digestion, which if we're not digesting and eliminating properly, this affects our qi and our overall energy.
I see.
So the great thing about practicing these Qigong practices, just try it out for yourself. And this is what I recommend. Try out 15 minutes a day of doing several of the practices and see how you feel. And chances are you're going to feel a lot better, and you're going to start to notice a change. And the longer you do it, meaning let's say you do it for a month or 2 months, what will happen is as this change happens and you may start to notice improvements in your health, other people will start to notice changes in you too.
They'll be like, did you get your hair different?
Not me.
Yeah, all right.
I tried putting a straightener today and look what happened.
It all fell out.
Next. All right. So
Okay, next question. Oh.
yeah. So anyways, that's my answer, is that start practicing these, because you'll start to see the change. And again, as we addressed on Monday and Tuesday, it's not a belief structure. You don't have to believe in it for it to work. Just try it out, follow the guidelines, and then see for yourself.
Investing the time in yourself.
Yeah, right. The resources.
What
into
about
yourself.
any advice on how to lose 20 pounds?
Well, it's a combination of fitness. This is an internal fitness that we're talking about with Qigong, but you still have to exercise, whether it's going for a brisk walk every day, lifting weights. Lifting weights eat less. Lifting weights is a great way of burning calories as well too. And you don't have to lift large, heavy amount of weight. You do just lighter weight with more reps, but also not eating after 7 p.m.
The food curfew.
The food curfew, not eating after 7 p.m. And that last meal should be the smallest.
Small meals. Okay, what about, real quick, anything for arthritis?
So it just depends on what kind of arthritis you have. If you have arthritis that's affected by the cold, then I would recommend that you do more kidney cleansing exercises, Qigong exercises. Go online and look for dietary tips to benefit kidney yin and kidney yang. If it's arthritis that's affected by dampness or by damp conditions, then I would look at really nurturing your stomach and your spleen, and also doing Qigong practices that help benefit that. If it's arthritis that moves around the body, like you have arthritic pain that moves around the body, which we call is a B syndrome in Chinese medicine, then that's when, so I look at kidney exercises and liver exercises to cleanse those emotions, and then foods that have to help to nurture liver yin and liver blood, which is different than Western nutrition, and then also kidney yin.
Wow. So there is an answer.
To me, there's an answer to everything. I mean, there's and our bodies are always talking to us. They're always knocking on our back door. And as I talked about yesterday, like that little eye tremor can be a precursor to other diseases. Like it could be a temporary stress, or it could be talking to us that there's something greater coming down the road, like a stroke, aneurysm, stuff like that. So listen to your body.
Listen to your body. Okay, one more. Actually, there's two questions that are pretty much asking the same thing. So I'll read both questions, and then we can talk about that, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Okay. With vaccine injuries and sudden death on the rise, how can we support our bodies and health to minimize the risks? Are there specific Qigong practices or TCM that can help? And also the similar question, how does Qigong help combat COVID? My husband and I have been so careful and still managed to pick up COVID. That doesn't want to go away. I'm still dealing with neuropathy and trying to remember best exercises for that. Thank you.
Okay, so to answer the first one, the injuries that we're seeing, unfortunately now there's herbal formulas like for myocarditis and these inflammatory conditions of the heart. So I would talk to your local acupuncturist, herbalist. They could get you, they'd have to assess you, right? It's not something I could just recommend over this live chat here today.
Okay.
But also too, going through, and I would do all the organ cleansing exercises, because even though we're seeing myocarditis, but also we're seeing things like tinnitus as another injury, which is ringing of the ears. And unfortunately, for some reason, it's hitting more men for some reason, which
Guys are having a hard time.
men are having a hard time, these days. So I would do those 5 organ cleansing exercises, and then at the same time too, I would talk to your local acupuncturist or herbalist to see what formulas they can help give you to offset the different injuries that are being documented. Now, to answer that second question, to understand this virus, what's interesting in Chinese medicine is that, like, when a person comes in with a certain condition, it's great having the diagnosis, the Western diagnosis, but once it's in the body, for example, once a virus is in the body, then what happens is that we look at it according to what it's doing. For example, early on, COVID was what we call as a damp cold condition.
Damp cold.
So the dampness is what created the phlegm. So if you didn't address this right away, this is why it went into the lungs and created all these problems. Cold induced,
Which is also the most dangerous kind of disease, right?
yes, well, damp or the cold diseases are the most dangerous. But as we saw though, people with healthy immune systems and taking care of themselves, we weren't seeing the deaths and the not recovering, because the immune system was able to bounce back. And to understand the damp cold condition, then what you do is we would give herbs that would help to rectify that damp coldness and push the virus out of the body. But also too, going back to your question about you were so careful and stuff like that, you have to understand this is a microorganism that's an airborne organism, and I don't think a lot of people really understand that. It's not a contact organism, meaning I see so many people wearing gloves and stuff like that. Washing your hands, the common sense things that
because for the gloves to work, every interaction you'd have to take off the gloves and put on a new glove. But
Correct.
if you're just wearing gloves consistently,
correct,
and then touching your face,
right. So this is an airborne disease. The masks that they're forcing everybody to wear work only up to 3 nanoparticles. This airborne virus was less than 1 nanoparticle. Hence the reason why the masks weren't working. Because what people don't realize too is that also viruses could enter in through the eyes as well too. So it's all the
eyes and ears.
It's all the mucous membranes that they can enter in too. So because it's such a small thing, and like I tell people, let's just use common sense. Put on the mask and spray some hairspray. Can you smell the hairspray? And if you can smell the hairspray, then obviously those nanoparticles are penetrating through. So
what's the Qigong that we can do to support ourselves through this health concern?
So our lungs are the main thing responsible for our immune health, but other organs too. Taking care of your digestion. Taking your stomach, what you put into your stomach. If your stomach is strong, taking probiotics, and I recommend refrigerated probiotics or small amounts of kimchi or things that are fermented, not in excess though. Those help to build the immune system. And doing the Qigong practices for the lung cleansing exercise, there's lung healing sound, the kidney exercise, also too making sure that you get enough sleep. That's important as well too, because sleep is the #1 tonic to help to ward off disease.
I see.
Or help to transform disease, because when you're asleep, that's when your body actually starts to heal. Yeah, and so those Qigong practices. And so what we're going to see here is that as we are in cold and flu season, there are herbal remedies that we could recommend. We actually have a whole protocol. If you go to our YouTube page, it's called Virus Stop, right?
Yeah, there's a video called Virus Stop.
There's a video called Virus Stop on YouTube where we have these recommendations. And again, I have to have a disclaimer that, please check it out with your primary healthcare physician before taking on any of these recommendations from that video. But we had a very high success rate of not only prevention, but also helping people that were sick.
And sick who had quote unquote high risk.
High risk, yeah. So there is an answer. Just like with I believe with all diseases, there is an answer. Now, sometimes true, if the cancer is too far along, if the MS is too far along, wasn't dealt with, then what we're doing is that we're just working with comfort comfort care at that point, But the whole idea of Qigong is for you to become your own superior doctor.
I see.
Meaning that you are empowered enough to feel when these organs are getting out of balance, to be able to then implement specific Qigong practices to help yourself. I know for myself, if I start to get a cold or a flu, most people feel like body aches or shoulder aches.
Yeah.
I feel it in my spleen. So when I feel my spleen aching, I'm like, I got to take some herbs in order to rectify this because something is trying to invade my body.
Wait, because the spleen makes the phlegm and the lungs store it.
Yes, yeah. So, and if there's an impairment in the spleen's function of transforming and transporting the food and the essence to the lungs, then guess what? The lungs then, or with the lungs to the heart, it gets built up, creates a weakness, and which then further, if there's a weakness of our blood, then there's going to be a weakness of our qi, and there's going to be a weakness of our immune health.
I see.
So common sense is keep the qi strong. And if you don't believe in qi, just think of it in terms of blood or fluids in your body.
That's true.
Because if your blood is deficient or weak,
you feel tired.
You feel tired.
Exhausted.
Exhausted. You don't feel like doing anything.
Right.
But if your blood is flourishing and strong, then you have energy, your defense mechanism, which is your immune health is strong, and yeah.
So just for someone who's like completely new, what exactly is qi? Just back up.
Qi is life force energy that emanates through all living things. And in this case, we're talking about the body. And there's, everything is a form of consciousness. And this gets into more physics, but everything is a form of consciousness. The couch that we're sitting on, this table that the computer's on, but in this case, qi is the energy that sustains our life. And you say, there's no such thing as qi. No, I mean, how does your heart beat? How does your stomach digest?
Miraculously.
It's magical. The body is such an amazing thing. So, I mean, if you really take a look at this and understand that everything is a form of energy, there's only one energy, and that's God. But once we're talking about it in the body, we could actually break it down to its function.
Function. And define it like that.
Right.
And learn it that way.
Yep.
And that's really what Qigong teacher training, the foundation level 1 and level 2, is giving you a taste into how the body functions and how this qi, this life force energy, circulates and moves and allows us to exist, and then gives you tools in order to process emotions, what's going on in your life, so that you could literally be back in balance and be healthy and vitality and that youthful glow that everyone's looking for.
Yeah, so once again, before we sign off here, we have a brand new level 1 Qigong teacher training course that's launching this Monday.
Last day to sign up is Sunday, the 22nd.
And what you're going to receive is every week you're going to receive 4 short videos of how to teach the practice while you're doing the practice. It corresponds with some PDF handouts, and it corresponds also with my book and also Dr. Malshini's book,
How to Live Your Ultimate
Life. And once you have all of this material, it's yours for a lifetime.
And you digest it, and what's the actual transformation and benefit that people get from being in the course?
Well, the benefit is that improved health.
Improved health and fulfillment. Now you actually have a vocational path that you can step into where you feel fulfilled and you get to help people on a daily basis. It's incredible. There's nothing.
Yeah. So whether you want to or contemplating this for your own health or to teach, to help out your family members, if you're already in the health field, you're a personal trainer, you're a chiropractor, nurse practitioner,
even a hairdresser.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's service. You're touching people.
Yeah, but and you're touching people, and also too, like whether you're a hairdresser or a personal trainer, a lot of times people are talking about what's going on in their life.
Exactly.
So it's nice to give them a tool to be able to handle what is happening. So if you're somebody that wants a change of a career, Qigong is on the rise. It's still not up there at the same level as yoga, but it's been around longer than yoga. And the other thing too is that if you are a practitioner of some modality or another, it gives you another tool to add into your repertoire to deal with stress, because again, when that stress builds up, it turns into disease.
That's right. Well, that's pretty much a wrap for today.
All right. So thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you.
And please reach out if you have any questions.
Did you want to spell love?
All right. How do we spell love? L-O-V-E.
Love.
And we will see you later.
Mwah, mwah.
Bye, guys.
Toodaloos. Chia.
Chia.